Hi guys, it's Mr. Gonzalez again, here with Lesson 18, Dynamic Signs. The main objective of this lesson is to be able to identify the dynamic sign and understand what its Italian word means in English. Let's get going. Dynamic signs indicate the volume or how soft or loud the music should be played. Most musical terms are written in Italian, since Italian composers were among the first to write such instructions in their manuscripts. Here is a list of the most commonly used dynamic signs. Here we see the Italian word piano. Here we see the sign for piano. And here we see piano means soft. Here we see the Italian word forte. Here we see the sign for forte. And here we see that forte means loud. Here we see the Italian word mezzo piano. Mezzo means moderately. Here we see the sign for mezzo piano, and here we see the English translation for mezzo piano as moderately soft. Here we see mezzo forte. Here we see the sign for mezzo forte, and here is the English translation for mezzo forte, moderately loud. Here we see the Italian word pianissimo. The suffix issimo means very. Here is the sign for pianissimo, and here is the English translation for pianissimo, very soft. Here we see the Italian word fortissimo, the sign for fortissimo, and the English translation for fortissimo, very loud. Dynamic signs arranged in order from very soft to very loud are pianissimo, piano, mezzo piano, mezzo forte, forte, and fortissimo. Now we will talk about a gradual change in dynamics. Terms used to indicate change in volume from soft to loud or loud to soft are crescendo, and here is the abbreviation for crescendo. Here is the sign for crescendo. We go from soft to loud, and here is the English translation, gradually louder. Here is the Italian word diminuendo, or the abbreviation dim. It can also be called decrescendo, and here is the abbreviation for that. Here is the sign for a diminuendo or decrescendo. We go from loud to soft, and the English translation is gradually softer. Let's take a look at some exercises. For our first exercise, we are going to clap the following line and observe the dynamic signs where indicated. Let's go. I will be using the syllables ta for quarter notes, ta-ah for half notes, and tt for eighth notes. I will also be observing every dynamic change. 1, 2, ready, go. Ta 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 ti ti ta ta ti 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 ta 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 ti 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 ta. For our next exercise, we will write the Italian word for the following dynamic signs. Here we have the italicized F. If you remember, this is forte. Here we have an italicized M and P. We have mezzo piano. Down here we just have an italicized P. We have piano. Here we have a decrescendo, also known as a diminuendo. You can tell because the mouth of it is big, and then at the peak it gets small. Here we have two italicized P's. We have pianissimo. Next we have two italicized F's, so we have fortissimo. Here we have an italicized M and F. We have mezzo forte. And lastly, we have a crescendo. We can tell because at the peak it's small, and then as it goes forward, the mouth gets larger. And now for our final exercise, we will use every dynamic sign learned above at least once to mark the appropriate dynamic signs on the lines beneath the following story. Let's go. Here you can see all of our dynamic signs in order as well as our crescendo and decrescendo. "Wake up," whispered Ron to his brother Stephen. Alright, so our first line is underneath whispered. Whispering is usually done softly, so it is either piano or pianissimo. Let's keep reading and see what we find next. "The boys walked softly out the door." Okay, I think it's safe to assume whispered will be pianissimo and softly will be piano. "They heard the moderately soft sound of a distant aeroplane, which became gradually louder and roared very loudly as it flew overhead." Okay, so here we have three different lines. For our first one, we see moderately softly. Okay, since it's moderately, we know mezzo means moderately and soft means piano. So here we can put our mezzo piano. Next, we see gradually louder. All right, we know our crescendo gets gradually louder and then roared very loudly. We know that our issimo means very and loudly is forte. So here we can put our fortissimo. Then faded away gradually. Stephen said, "Let's play baseball," in a moderately loud voice. Alright, so then faded away gradually can be our decrescendo, and a moderately loud voice can be our mezzo forte. They shouted a loud yes as they ran to the park. Alright, so we have loud, and that can be our forte. And now we finish this last exercise. And that's it for today's lesson, guys. I hope you feel more confident in your ability to identify dynamic signs as well as understanding their meanings. In our next lesson, we will look at tempo marks.